very hot. At the same time, when you open the AC, you get cold.
Yes, yes, sir. Hot and humid, sir.
Hot and cold, humid atmosphere. No problem. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So we began in the last two lectures by saying that the scope of the act we gave you, how the Arbitration Conciliation Act 1996 came into force, and prior to it, that there were three laws in existence of the year 1940. Then the year 1937, the Geneva Convention Award, then the New York Convention Award 61, then the UNCITRAL laws, the United Nations Commission of International Trade Laws, wanted to have a uniform pattern of laws for international trade matters, uh, for the purpose of helping the trading communities of the world to facilitate, to have expeditious disposal of the matter, and easy forum available for execution of the international dispute. So, in the keeping in mind all these three facts, all these important salient features, the India, which is a signatory to both the Geneva Convention as well as the New York Convention, has passed this legislation the year 1996. Fortunately, it has brought in its ambit all the three acts together: the domestic arbitration, the international arbitration on New York Convention, and the international arbitration on Geneva Convention. And Chapter 3 can the conciliation and mediation, one chapter is devoted. That is how it is concise, but the act is still undergoing teething trouble because some of the provisions are may not be totally in conformity with the provisions of New York Convention or International Convention, and we are still grappling with it. And the act is has been amended from time to time. After 96 के बाद there was an amendment in the year 85. इसके बाद yeah, sorry, 2005 there was an amendment in 2009 and 220 के अंदर they wanted to give they wanted to give scope to the institutional arbitration. The entire object is here, rather than they want to minimize the intervention of the court. The court's intervention should be minimized, and the party should not be matter should be delayed. That is how they are trying to curtail. Time period is fixed. The arbitral award must be pronounced within 1 year's time, and the pleadings must be completed with all the parties within the period of 6 months' time, and no further extension should be granted unless the parties agree themselves. So these are all the various laudable objects. Let us see how far we are able to object, because the central government, in consultation with the Supreme Court of India, has to constitute a team for the purpose of establishing the uh, arbitral tribunals, which has not so. That is Arbitration Council of India. When you see that the members of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, he has to be a judge of the Supreme Court or Chief Justice of the High Court, eminent lawyers. So it is difficult to it will take some time to gather all these people, bring them into one common platform. That is why it may be the provisions of part 1A, that is Arbitration Council of India, are not still so far implemented, but they are come in force like this year. So the condition precedent for invoking arbitration is that there must be a valid written agreement. I mentioned to you, isn't it? That is the agreement which is mentioned within the definition of Section 21E and Section 7 of the Act. Then once the agreement is in existence, when disputes arise, future dispute, present dispute, uh, and you can refer it to the arbitration. That is, a commencement will start under Section 21 of the arbitration. Of course, the Section 21 doesn't mention at the time. The moment you give a notice under Section 21, 30 days time period within which the other side must appoint the arbitrator, that that period you will get under Section 11 of the Act, where the when you make an application to the Supreme Court or High Court for appointment of the arbitrators. Of course, the Supreme Court and High Court have power to delegate the powers to the arbitral institution, which are yet to set up based upon the accreditation basis. So, as on today, the Supreme Court and High Court are entertaining application under Section 11. Now, one Section 11 application is entertained. The arbitral, the law mandate that here Section 11 application should be disposed of within a period of 30 days from the date of the service. That is the mandate given in Section 13, 11, 13. तो उसके बाद Constitution of the Arbitration Tribunal, the Section 12, 13, and 14 and 15 will come into play. The arbitrator must disclose the challenge procedure, both whether the arbitrator would like to take up the matter or not, whether he has got any interest, adverse interest, financial interest, institutional interest, or any kind of a bias he entertains against each of the party must be disclosed. The grounds of challenge, that is under Section 12 and 13 of the Act. Then 14, 15 also deal with the termination of the mandate when parties don't come forward, when parties agree, when disability. Then Section 16 is a very important, is a jurisdiction of the arbitral tribunal, which I will discuss in the later part of the judgment. Before that, I would like to give you some what the Supreme Court has said with regard to the validity of the agreement, of the scope of the agreement, and some definition important. Will cover it up in the examination point of view. That I mentioned to you that the important definition. Let us start with the definition of section 2 खोलेंगे आप arbitral agreement, which is this provision section 21B, section 21B should be read along with section 7, because section 7 defines you the, so when in the examination also or in the practice when you come and you have to see the provision, they should be read together. Now in the one of the leading judgment on this point is what are the essential elements of an agreement, what should be incorporated in the agreement is given by the Supreme Court. If you can open judgment of the Supreme Court in KK Modi versus KN Modi, Ashish, KK Modi, that is reported in AIR 1998 Supreme Court, page number 1297. 1297.
So open.
ओपन उसमें चेक कीजिए, वो स्टार्ट द पैराग्राफ नंबर 3 और 4 आता है. इट स्टार्ट्स विद द वर्ड amongst the attributes which must be present for the amongst the, see the paragraph starting with the amongst the attributes which must be present for the agreement to be considered as an obligation or obligatory are 1 to 6 points are there. You got it here? Starting with amongst the attributes which must be. Are you in a position to find this?
It's open. It's open,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah, I will just read out one of the points which are given by the Supreme Court. See, this is a landmark judgment of the Supreme Court given by Justice Shujata Manohar and Justice D.P. Wadhwa. This is a judgment dated 4th of February 1998. Immediately within 1 year, or maybe a little earlier, when the Act came into picture. Their lordships, they say that here, the essential element of a valid arbitration agreement in section 7 should be number 1. The arbitration agreement must contemplate that the decision of the tribunal will be binding on the parties to the agreement. So the parties, that is what one of the conditions they abide by it. Number 2, they cannot resile from it. Of course, that is apart from the fact that statutorily you have a right of appeal under the statute or different matter, but you respect the judgment, they are binding upon you because so far as with a view to avoid the court intervention. Number 2, that the jurisdiction of the tribunal to decide the rights of the parties must derive either from the content of the parties or from an order of the court or from a statute, the terms of which make it clear that the process is to be in arbitration. So the court must take into consideration, the tribunal must take into consideration that the parties have understood the terms and conditions of the agreement. So, they having regard to the fact that they are going to the arbitration openly and transparently and knowing fully well, because leaving any scope that here tomorrow it is tomorrow a party should not take up the plea that the agreement is sham, colorable, bogus. They're trying to minimize the court. Having taken up the plea, a waiver will come into play against any of the party. You have gone into the agreement knowing fully well you want to resort it to the arbitration, and why you want to unnecessarily challenge it unless such a challenge is necessary in the wake of subsequent development. At the time when you enter in the agreement, you are fully aware that the agreement is valid. When it is valid, then you will not be permitted to raise the plea that the agreement suffers from A infirmity, B infirmity. So that is called a doctrine of waiver is introduced, that I will come to you. That is under section 4 of the act here, that is given. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have no right to challenge it. Under section 16 of the Arbitration Act, the law is that here the arbitrators have a right to decide whether the agreement is valid or not. Formally, when the act came into picture and before the amendment of 205, the court was deciding whether the agreement, the Chief Justice of India under section 11 and the Chief Justice of the High Court Bombay, all high courts were deciding whether there is a valid agreement or not, whether the agreement is hit by section 23 of the contract, whether the agreement is time barred or not. So they were deciding all these issues, but the Supreme Court later on in a judgment decided that here all these contentious issues the court should not decide at the stage of appointing an arbitrator. Let it be decided by the arbitrator. That is, let the arbitrator under section 16 decide it. That is why in Ayyappa Swami's case, I will tell you when we're reading here, apart from what are the matters which cannot be sent to arbitration, which can be sent to arbitration, Justice Sikri and Justice Chandrachud have clearly laid down, following the earlier judgment of the Supreme Court, that when a fraud is set up by any of the parties, just a bare fraud, a simple fraud, cannot deter the court from appointing the arbitrator. The arbitral tribunal is competent to take care of the issue of fraud. Such matters, there can be a civil fraud, there can be a tortious fraud, and general fraud, allegations of fraud made or fabrication made is not a ground to reject arbitration, because one of the ground is that when a criminal case is filed for cheating, misappropriation, breach of trust, such cases, serious cases, heinous crimes, yes, they don't come within the purview of arbitration. Such agreement is void. But a general allegation with regard to that a partner has fabricated the account, opened a bank account, not paid me the amount, he has paid me less amount, more amount, he has taken his son into partnership without my consent, and this is a breach of trust. These are violations. These are commercial type of the breaches or a fraudulent act which can be gone home, which can be tried by the arbitrator themselves under section 16 of the Arbitration Act. So when you see the judgment of Ayyappa Swami, I will take you through in the course of the day. Clearly, the division bench of the Supreme Court and following earlier rulings have also taken the view. It is only serious matters of fraud, which are highly contentious issues, can be tried by the civil court, and not general and bald allegation where the parties make that the agreement is fraudulent. Such issues can be taken care of by the arbiter. That is the meaning of this. That is why the judgment of the Supreme Court in K.K. Modi versus K.N. Modi want to emphasize by incorporating clause number 2. Now, clause number 3 pe aa jaiye. The agreement must determine the substantive right of the parties will be determined by the agreed tribunal. So, normally, suppose when you are determining when the parties are in the agreement, what kind of law they would like to follow in part 1 of the part 1, which applies to domestic arbitration. Of course, parties will follow the substantive law of India. Whether a dispute is arisen, you will follow the provisions of the Indian Contract Act. You will follow the provisions of Partnership Act. You will follow the provisions related to contract. So that can be mentioned. And And especially this particular proposing substantive law of India comes into play in international arbitration when one Indian enters into a contract with the other party in part 2 matters. So you are required to enter into mention whether the agreement, the party should follow the substantive law of Geneva Convention, they should follow the law laid down in New York Convention, whether conflict of law, as Dicey has determined, the of the countries or the nation having regard to the seat of the arbitration and where the venue of the arbitration mentioned. That is why the lot of generosity, the lot of curiosity arose and resulting in so many conflict judgment in the Supreme Court in India, that is resulting from number one, that is the Bhatia international case in 2002 of Justice Variaba's judgment, who took up the plea that year, even if the parties entered into international arbitration, Indian and foreigner, if they are silent about the substantive law of India, an arbitration can be held in India. There is no bar. That is what the view taken by in Bhatia International case, 2002 case. That means normally the foreigners got shocked and settled. A person who is a citizen of America or Geneva, maybe London, they wanted the arbitrations are held in UK, arbitrations held in New York, and why the provisions of the Indian law, Indian courts are entertaining disputes in India. That was the main contention before the Supreme Court in the matter in Bhatia International. And even in venture developments case, the similar law was invoked here, that the part one of the domestic arbitration can be invoked even in international arbitration, provided the substantive law of India is followed, number one, and the parties have by consent agreed it, or when the parties by consent, parties were silent about it. Even if the parties were silent about which law is to be applicable, and there is no bar. So that controversy came to be settled in Balco's case, that is the Bharat Aluminium case versus Kaser. The Supreme Court took the view that no, part one of the the domestic arbitration are not applicable to international arbitration based on Geneva Convention and New York Convention. And if the parties have agreed to have a seat of arbitration in London, New York, and let the law of that country prevail, and we need not come rush to the court here. Now, in the wake of this difficulty, now the present act is amended in the year 2015. You know that year. Also, provisions of Section 9, that is, interim orders are made applicable to international arbitration. Suppose the agreement is between Indian citizen in Mumbai and the New York Convention and New York or maybe London, UK, Italy, wherever maybe it is. It's an international arbitration being held, say, venue is England. Substantive part of, say, for example, the Reliance Industries case. Reliance Industries mostly imports a lot of material from foreign countries, UK, America, Germany, all this. So when a dispute arises, they must be having an agreement between them that it's an international arbitration between Indian citizens, say, for example, Reliance Industries, and if somebody in UK or USA. So they may enter into a contract that year. The substantive law will be applicable between the parties, maybe the law prevailing at the time where the seat of arbitration is. Or they may also agree the Indian law of both the parties. If they don't agree, it should be the law of the land where the seat of arbitration. Section 20 of the Arbitration Act tells you what is the seat of arbitration. So under the seat of arbitration agreement is different from a venue of arbitration. Though types say parties may see that the seat of arbitration must be maybe England, London, but arbitration may take place venue in India. So in such an event, what should be the law applicable here? So in the light of that here, yes.
So that's why I'm saying that Vodafone and the Cairns case, we ended up in the International Court of Justice, and not following our substantive laws because we had placed that in the terms and conditions of the agreement, sir.
Yes, almost all these international agreements, there is always a contentious issue raised by the either the court, by the parties, and there is a lot of confusion. Despite the fact that in Balco, Supreme Court clearly laid down the provisions of the earlier judgment of Bhatia and venture investments are not applicable to applicable to domestic arbitration cannot be invoked in international arbitration, but still the Supreme Court is invoking in many matters. I will give some illustration. Encron versus Encron India Limited. There are many of them. They took up the plea that the parties have were silent about it. When they are silent, we can infer that the parties do not mind Indian law. That is why there is an amendment to section international arbitration. When you see, when I am coming to that, there's a proviso added to section 2F. 2F के अंदर देखिए आप, there is a international arbitration में now when you open the provisions of the international arbitration, the definition check करेंगे आप, association, then 2.2 check करो आप, 2.2 के अंदर this part shall apply where the place of arbitration India. Then proviso check karo, provided that subject to the agreement to the contrary, the provisions of 9, that is interim orders. Section 27, that is give me 1 minute. Section 9, that is the interim orders. That means they can go. 27, assistance of the court, subclause B and 3, and of 3 or 37, that is the appeal provision, shall apply to international commercial arbitration, even if the parties to arbitration outside India. An arbitral award made to be made in such a place is enforceable, recognized under the provisions of this. This is maybe with a view to overcome the judgment of a Balco's case. This has been added now. This is subsequent. This is added in 2015. Yeah, what is your question? Yes.
So when they're saying place, do they mean seat or do they mean venue? It is very confusing, sir.
Yeah, I will explain to you. Seat is different from venue.
So, but they are saying place. So, what is place in 2.2?
Section 20 के अंदर वो mention किया गया, place of arbitration is mentioned. I will come to that when I am coming to that. Wait, just give me 2 minutes. Item number, the judgment of, I'm reading judgment of Justice K.K. Modi versus K.N. Modi's case. Para number 4 पे आ जाइए. That the tribunal will determine the rights of the parties in an impartial and judicial manner, with the tribunal owing an equitable obligation of fairness towards both the parties. Because you know that the meaning of this clause 4 is the tribunal is not a court. So the provisions of Evidence Act and CPC, they are not bound by it. Because when you see section 18 of the Act, I will tell you how the provisions of CPC, they are not binding upon them. See, section 19 खोलिए आप. Determination means how the conduct of the arbitral 18 से ले लीजिए आप. Equal treatment of the parties. The parties shall be treated with equality, and each other shall be given full opportunity to present the case. That is equal treatment. That the concept of Article 14 is invoked: equality before the law and equal protection of law. That is the mandate of our constitution. That is the Magna Carta of our Indian constitution. Also, this is the Magna Carta of the arbitral proceeding. This is law. There should be equal treatment. You cannot give unfriendly treatment, biased treatment, step-motherly treatment to one party, another party. I mean, the arbitrator cannot show bias. That is what the concept here. The principles of justice, equity, and good conscience, and the doctrine of odi alterum partem, equality, principles of natural justice must be equally shown to both the parties. The meaning of 18. 19 पे आ जाइए. Determination of rules of procedure. The arbitral tribunal shall not be bound by the Code of Civil Procedure 1909 or the Indian Evidence Act 1872. So the arbitral tribunal, because if you follow the procedures under the CPC and Evidence Act, the matter will be prolonged, isn't it? It's a very, we know, we are noticing in Indian court, we learned CPC and Evidence Act, how cumbersome it is. How, even if you want to determine the court of jurisdiction, so much time is wasted. Section 9, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, application pe application daliya, matter can be dragged like anything. Under Section 9, UAE used to waste 5 to 6, 10 years in the court of law for determining the issue of jurisdiction in Maharashtra. That is way back in the year 1977. 9A was introduced in the Maharashtra by the Maharashtra legislature CPC, with in concurrent power of the Constitution of India. But itna time laga, we know that yet. If the issue is decided under 9A, then the parties have a right to go and appeal. Then appeal ke baad second appeal, then Supreme Court. So it was rightly deleted in my opinion, because the issue of jurisdiction is taken care of in under Order 14. The court should decide all issues together, factual issues, material issues, and issues of law. Then it is left to the decision of the court under Order 14 subclause 2 whether to decide a particular issue as a preliminary issue, maybe on limitation, maybe under the provision of Order 21 Rule 1, Order 2 Rule 1 CPC, that the suit has been filed without the leave of the court. You all know this here. So time should not be wasted. Let the show go on. So that is why it is made, according to me, correctly here. Before the arbitrator is rightly, arbitrator has not been not given the status of a court under the Evidence Act. Aapne padhe Section 1 mein. Because he is not a court, he is a quasi-judicial authority. He is equal to a tribunal. If he becomes a court, mean he can try all contentious, disputed issues like a civil court, city civil court, small causes court, civil just senior division, junior division, district court, and high court, exercising powers under the original jurisdiction. Limited. Here, this is supposed to be a summary jurisdiction. Like in a summary jurisdiction in CPC, you know that under Order 37, Rule 1 and 2, certain suits are tried in a summary manner. Check bouncing cases, the Hundi admitted claim, you can go to the court without recording evidence. So that procedure is a correct. That is a procedure the arbitrators have to follow here. That is why CPC is kept out of his purview, and it doesn't mean that he is not bound to follow. He can. It is his discretion. But you will be surprised, despite the presence of Section 19, which says he is not bound by the CPC and his Evidence Act. With due respect, almost entire procedure which is followed by the arbitration is in Bombay, at least where I have conducted many matters, they invoke CPC and CPC and Evidence Act. Many people say we want to record evidence. Many people would like to say, of course, you cannot say before the arbitrator that is a secondary evidence, primary evidence. He accepts any type of evidence, but you convince him to the mind, this is a copy taken. But he has got more discretion to qualify. So 18 and 19, the author says, our Indian author, section 18 and 19 are the Magna Carta of arbitral proceeding. So they are the bedrock of justice, equity, and good conscience. He is not bound to follow the provisions of CPC and Evidence Act, but he must decide the cases on the basis of justice, equity, and good conscience. That provision you will find in Section 28. Rules applicable to substance of dispute. So when he says that Section 19, when he is not bound by CPC evidence, then what is bound by? Then see Section 28 mein check kare mein. Section 20 will tell you that here the arbitration agreement or commercial agreement submit report law of the time being in force in India, international arbitration. देखिए, then subclause 2 में check करो आप, 28 में subclause 2, the arbitral tribunal shall decide ex aequo, ex bono, and amiable compositor. That means an arbitrator must decide the case reference to general notions of fairness, justice, equity, and good conscience. The meaning of this expression is justice, equity, and good conscience and fairness are not bound by the technical rules of law. So 18 and 19 is not bound by CPC and the Evidence Act. Then 28(2) tells you what he should do that. Please note that. So this is the meaning of the clause number 4 of the judgment of the Supreme Court of Justice Sujata Manohar and DP Wadhwa and KK Modi's case. Now let us see the clause, the mandate number 5 laid down. Agreement given that the agreement of the parties to refer to the dispute or the decision of the tribunal must be intended to be enforceable in law. So that means the agreement should not be void. It should not be opposed to public policy. You cannot prepare an agreement which is which you cannot give effect to, which is not hit by the provisions of Section 23. Normally, parties go to lawyers and solicitors to draft the agreement. So it is a duty of the lawyer to see to it that here the agreement should be enforceable, because it should not come within the ambit of Section 23 of the Indian Contract Act. Isn't it? It should not be opposed to public policy. It should be enforceable. And the as a good draftsman, you should also take into consideration the Supreme Court's observation in Ayyappa Swami's case and earlier. Then what matters can go for arbitration, what cannot go. Matrimonial matters cannot go. Criminal matters cannot go. Rent control matters cannot go. Society matters cannot go. Winding up tribal matters cannot go. So this is the draftman's duty. Parties are laymen. You cannot blame the laymen. It is the advocates and the solicitors who prepare the agreement should know the various provisions of law. So only when you have studied the law very well, and only if you read the Bail Act, you will not know. And you have to have the help of the Supreme Court judgment, High Court judgment, dating lie down, and various appointments. That is the meaning here. So agreement must be enforceable. So you know that the arbitration agreement and award made is enforceable. It is now a decree of the court under Section 36. You can directly execute it like a decree of the civil court. Now the provisions of CPC will come into play under Section 36. Just please open 36 to explain this concept here. Yeah. Section 36 खोल लीजिए आप to explain this proviso. Enforcement. Mean after the arbitrator passes the award, finality of the award is 35. See, subject to the provisions, subject to this part, an arbitral award shall be final and binding on the parties, and parties claiming under them. If it is not challenged, it's binding. Then once award is passed, it's a paper decree. It should have executable characteristics. Number 1, 36. Where the time for making an application to set aside the arbitral award under 34 has expired. So under Section 1, the award is made. The parties have a right to make an application for setting aside the award within a period of 3 months time. Please note, 34 के अंदर will come to know that this application for setting aside the award will be made to the High Court in Bombay and a district court in district area. That is the court, and the time limit given is here is under the provisions of the Act is a 3 months time. 34 subclause 3 check करेंगे आप. An application for setting aside may not be made after 3 months have elapsed from the date. Number 1, maximum indulgence is given to parties another 1 month time. In proviso, if the party is satisfied, application can be prevented for some reason. Another application period of 3 months, it may be entertained another 30 days. That means maximum 4 months ka time तुमको है, 3 months का easily. Like written statement should be filed in CPC within a period of 30 days time, 60 days grace period, another grace 90 days. उसके बाद your decree will be ex parte हो जाएगा. But under the Limitation Act, the time to file appeal is 30 days. Now the certain provisions of Arbitration Act are applicable here, but with regard to the filing of a application for setting aside, it doesn't say appeal, it's an application. Application because it is going to be the first application. Arbitrators are not court. So the first time you are approaching the court, so they use the word under Section 34, application for setting aside the award on various grounds should be filed within the period of 3 months time or maximum 4 months time after satisfying a delay. Then agar wo application nahi kiya hai, then it is done. Then he said that where the time after the period of 4 months time you have to wait, minimum 3 months time you wait, then you go for execution, filling up the application under the provisions of Order 21 Rule 11 if it is filed within 2 years. Then Order 21 Rule 22 CPC if it is filed after 2 years. Under the law of limitation, the arbitration, the execution application should be filed within a period of 12 years, which you learned it. Now come here. Where the time for making the application to set aside the arbitral award under 34 has expired. Okay. Then subject to the provisions of subsection 2, the award shall be enforced in accordance with the provisions of the Code of Civil Procedure. Now here, the earlier section 19 told you arbitrator is not bound to follow the CPC. Now here full-fledged CPC will come into play for enforcement of the award. Entire CPC for enforcement, that is the provisions of section 51, which tells you the mode of execution. Section 47, then Order 21 to Rule 106 of the CPC will come into play. CPC in the same manner as it was a decree of the court. So the word decree is not word. Once the final award is passed, award can be termed as a final decree, the same expression which is given in section 2 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Then see another interesting. यहाँ पे 36 में कहता है CPC can be applied. 19 में arbitrators are not bound to follow the CPC. Then section 5 check करो आप. Now, where the intervention of the court is minimized. Section 5 tells you this provision, you please remember in the examination also important. Section 5 check कर लीजिए आप. Extent of judicial intervention. To what extent the court may intervene in arbitration matters. Notwithstanding anything contained in any of the law for the time being enforced, the matters governed by this part, no judicial authority shall intervene except where so provided in this part. Judicial authority means the expression used mean court. The expression, it is the meaning of court. Judicial authority, it may be small causes court, city civil court, civil just junior division, city civil court, small high court, and magistrates court, all courts which are court within the meaning of section 1 of the Evidence Act. So they should not intervene in the matter unless only to the extent it is provided. So whatever extent, so we learned yesterday under section 9, the court can grant injunction before. Isn't it one thing? Now under section, abhi section 36 ke andar, decree for enforcement of the award, you have to resort to the provisions of CPC. So entire CPC will come into play when it comes to execution of the award. That is the meaning of this 2 year. So when the Supreme Court in KK Modi's case, when it says that here award should be executable, enforceable in the law. So enforcement procedure is given in the Code of Civil Procedure. So don't forget your CPC now. See, you finish your reading and exam ho gaya. So CPC will be haunting you like a ghost all throughout your legal career and all throughout your student days and any degrees you may come. All CPC, CRPC Evidence Act. Okay, next point dekh lijiye. Next point is last, that is 6th. Agreement must contemplate that the tribunal will make a decision upon the dispute which is already formulated at the time when reference is made to the tribunal. See, agreement must contemplate that the tribunal will make the decision upon a dispute which is already formulated at the time when reference is made to the tribunal. So, the parties may by consent make what is going to be our dispute. So, what is going to be our dispute? They should formulate the points. That is why the arbitrators are given power here under the provisions of section 28. what are the rules applicable to substance of a dispute. So this 28 you have to remember for this purpose. Mean, what is the law of the country which they should follow? What is the rule they should follow? Isn't it? See, when you read section 21, where the place of arbitration is situated in India, the arbitrator other than the international arbitration shall be decided dispute upon the arbitration in accordance with the substantive law for the time being in force in India. So naturally, the dispute between two Indian citizens with regard to any claim and question you're demanding. So you invoke the provisions of substantive law of India. Maybe you are two agents, you people are fighting dispute, A and B. So they will naturally invoke the law of agency under the Indian Contract Act, isn't it? Then if the dispute is with regard to claiming damages under the Partnership Act, both Partnership Act and as well as the Contract Act will come into play. If the dispute is involving family arrangement, touching upon certain legal rights, of course, your right of inheritance will be seen, depending upon whether you are following Hindu law, Christian law, Muslim law, Parsi law. The certain laws can be kept into consideration. Then B, arbitral tribunal shall decide the dispute in accordance with the rules of law designated by the parties applicable to substantive dispute. So even if it's an international arbitration, the parties may agree that here we would like to follow. Suppose the seat of arbitration venue is Mumbai, the international arbitration between you and a citizen from France can agree that here we will follow the rules prevailing in India, or we will follow the rules prevailing in Geneva as per the Geneva Convention. So there is no bar, parties are given freedom. That is why you cannot blame the judgment of the Supreme Court in Bhatia and other judgments when they say that here, when the parties are given freedom and there is silent about it, Indian law can be applied here. Then the designation of the parties of the law or legal system of the given country shall be construed unless otherwise express or directly referring to substantive law of the country and not to its conflict of law. So when the parties agree the substantive law of India of the foreign country the law from which the right title interest is determined, and not the conflict of law, that is a private international law, which you may have learned in your third year. What is a conflict of law? When you have read it, the Dicey's rule of law on that point, you come to know that here. So it is not the private international law to be invoked, it is the public international law. It is the law of the land which the parties have agreed, substantive law. Then filing a designation of the law of the parties, they shall apply the rules of the law considers to be appropriate. So liberty is given in case the parties have not agreed as to which law should be followed, and what the doctrine of justice, equity, and good conscience and fair play will come into play. Ex aequo, ex bono, that is amiable compositor. These are the expressions, these are Latin expressions. In the law of maxims they are used, and they are commonly used under the administrative law. Of course, you must have gone to this. So that is the meaning of these are the essentials of the agreement. When you say that here, what should be the arbitration agreement, that is with reference to section 2, section 2A, section 2B read with section 7 of the Arbitration Act. So these are the various ingredients. So when these are missing or not missing, then of course, when you press into service, what is the time now?
7:17, sir.
7:70. Another 10 minutes will cover it here. So this is the remember the judgment of the Supreme Court on that point. Then another important section is here. I will discuss the arbitral award. When you are reading arbitral award, that is section 2C, you have to read arbitral award includes interim award. Now the word interim award you will find under section 31C, the Kholiya 31C. Arbitral award mean section 31C के अंदर check करवा. These definitions are very delicate. I think you should know this. I remember 31(6) check करो आप. See that 31 में forms content of the arbitral award. 31(6) में the definition of arbitral. The arbitral tribunal may at any time during the arbitral proceeding make an interim arbitral award. Like a CPC के अंदर the court can pass a preliminary decree. It doesn't say interim decree. Preliminary decree or a final decree. There are two use. So यहाँ पे use किया गया section 31(6) के अंदर interim arbitral award with respect to which it may make a final award. So यहाँ पे दो expression use किया गया है. See that you will find 31(6) के अंदर they use the word expression interim award and final award. And you will find final award 31(6). Then there also 2C के अंदर arbitration award किया है. See how many definitions are there of the expression award. I will tell you that here. Then you will find additional award. You see section 33(4)(5) has used the word additional award. They are not explained. That read section 33 आ जाइए आप. That is when correction, interpretation of the award, additional award. Now, first I will explain to you correction. While correcting the award, correction of the award mean this power is equal to almost section 152 CPC. You know, civil judge has a right to correct his judgment only at mistakes which are arithmetical mistakes. पढ़े ना आपने? Section 152 खोला था CPC का. Section 152, typographical mistake, errors,
Yes, sir.
clerical errors. Now, whereas similarly under the CRPC, there's a provision called Section 362 खोलिए CRPC में. Because this is interesting to know the various provisions, how the language is used. Section 152 के अंदर you cannot use more than article of a mistake, correct it. Under 362 CRPC also, the CRPC है आप खोलिए. Can you just read one of you? Section 362 CRPC.
I'll read.
Yes.
Court not to alter judgment, save as otherwise provided by this code or by any other law for the time being in force. No court
Ashish, your voice is
when it
breaking.
Yeah,
has
I'm
shall
reading.
alter or review
I
the same.
opened it. I will read it. I got it here. I 362 में पढ़ता हूँ. 362. Court not to alter judgment, save as otherwise provided this court or by any other law for the time being in force. No court when it has signed the judgment or final order, dispose of a case, shall alter or review the same except to the correct clerical and arithmetical mistake. Now, CRPC के अंदर, unlike the CPC, there is no provision for review. The magistrate, session judge in High Court cannot review the judgment because there is no power of review. But whereas CPC के अंदर order 47 है, section 114 है, power to review the court. The civil court is more having more powers with regard to review the judgment. यहाँ पे criminal court को once the judge has signed it, he cannot even open it. Only clerical mistake and date and changes can make it. That he becomes a functious officio. He becomes functious officio means without any authority. Anything you want to correct it, you have to go to Supreme Court or maybe higher court to correct it. Under the CPC also, section 152 tells you when the judgment is delivered, don't open it except mistake, typographical mistake, article mistake. Yesterday, one such matter came. You read it here. Kerala High Court ने क्या किया मालूम? One judgment they gave under the provisions of the CRPC in a bail in a rape matter. POSCO matter. There was a rape of a small child, and the accused got married to the victim, and the court, when hearing the appeal, disposed it off and since both the persons are married now, the accused stands discharged when he was in fact convicted by the special court. So the judge has resorted to section 362, in my opinion, correct, not correct. So when you read yesterday's judgment of the Kerala High Court, which is a glaring mistake the High Court has committed. Once the judgment is given by the judge has rechanged the entire. Then he recalls it here. Then the judge. 1 minute. Now you all can hear me? Hello?
Loud
Hello?
and clear, sir.
Yeah. Now, fortunately, then when the judge saw the provisions of section 362, then he immediately recalled the judgment. That whatever judgment I given acquitting the accused is wrong, and he said I am convicting him. So
It's making
that is
mockery,
not.
sir.
You read it yesterday. It is there in the live law. Live law के अंदर है judgment of the Kerala High Court. Yesterday.
Sir, Justice K. Haribal.
Yes, just a Haripal judgment.
Yeah, I read it, sir. It's
Yeah,
very funny.
you all can go home and read it. According to me, the the criminal court, maybe it is a high court or a sessions court or a designate having given a judgment, and you cannot invoke the provisions of section 362 CRPC because it is not, the court has become functions officio. But he said that I can do that, that he has done it. According to me, it is not correct. One of you can write an article and on it and publish it if you want after the exam.
Sir, so can that be challenged in the Supreme Court that this is happening?
That is how the matters go to Supreme Court, multiply. Now, fortunately, under the Arbitration Act, now why I am referring to this here, because under the Arbitration Act, the arbitrator has given more power. Because arbitrator is not a court, he is a tribunal. Now read section 33. Now here, while defining here, within 30 days from the receipt of the arbitral award, unless another period of time has been agreed upon by the parties, a party to the notice may request the arbitral tribunal to correct any computation error, clerical, typographical error, and the errors of similar nature occurring in the award. This is fine. Then number 2, if so agreed by the parties, a party with notice to the other party may request the tribunal to give interpretation of specific point or a part of the award. So the arbitrator have a right to further go into the award. That means it doesn't become easily functions officio. That means, unlike the civil code and a criminal code, in the CPC and CRPC, which contains a bar under section 152 and section 342 CRPC, arbitrator enjoys more autonomy. So you can come, I can correct anything. Now, when you see that I use the expression that there is an additional award, he can pass it here. After correction, you please see section 33 subclause 4 check kare. Oh, after correction करने के बाद, hearing the party, unless otherwise agreed by the parties, with notice to the other party, may request within 30 days from the receipt of the award, the arbitral tribunal to make additional arbitral award. देखिए कितने अवार्ड हो गए अभी कितने अवार्ड हो गए इंटरिम अवार्ड हो गया फाइनल अवार्ड हो गया देन आर्बिट्रल अवार्ड हो गया देन हो गया अभी एडिशनल अवार्ड हो गया so many types of awards they are passing here under the law. Then another one judgment of the Supreme Court I will give you has used the word partial award, which is not used in the act here. So यहाँ पे check करेंगे आप. You may count it here. Number 1, one is a section 30. Yeah, number 1, the definition section Section 21C uses the word arbitral award. Number 1, A. 31(6) uses the word interim award. 2, it also uses the word final award. 3 ho gaya. And 4th award is used in, that is a additional award in section 33. 4 types of award. There is one judgment of the Supreme Court where the partial award is mentioned. That judgment I will give you. That is a judgment of the arbitrator का नाम भी disclose करता हूँ मैं, because it is very interesting. You should know how the arbitrators make mistake, despite being the fact that they were learned judges are top judges. That is, the party's name is McDermott International versus Burn Standard Company. That is 2006-11 SEC page number A181. You can open this and she'll show it to you. उसका spelling है McDermott. MC उसके बाद खोलिए Dermot International, DERMOT International Inc. versus Burn Standing Company Limited. So the matter went here. The arbitrator was Justice R.S. Pathak, who was the former Chief Justice of India and who was the uncle of our Justice Deepak Mishra. You must be knowing a famous Chief Justice who retired recently with so many controversial allegations against him in the matter of various matters. And Chief Justice R.S. Mishra was a highly respected Chief Justice who went to international court. He was one of the arbitrators in this matter. He has used the word, you may see that here, partial award. In the judgment, you can see that here, he has used the expression partial award. Just open kare aap, which the Supreme Court said that the Act does not prescribe any partial award. A partial award, he means probably interim award. Okay, don't write partial award. ये judgment में clearly लिखा गया है.
Yes, sir.
I was scanning through the various judgment on this point, and I decided to tell you on this. I think we will take one small break, then we will come after 10 minutes. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Okay?
sir.
All of you understood this interim award के बारे में? The history of the award.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
So this whole act has been taken from court cases and it's not properly drafted, sir.
Which legislation, tell me, is properly drafted? Every matter is going to Supreme Court. Supreme Court is grappling with interpretation. Almost every act. Okay, we'll discuss about it, no problem. After
Yes,
a break. After now, more than 1 hour is over, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And now all of you have a tea break for 10 minutes. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next lecture.